Hey lovelies, it's Victoria, and happy 5th of November, which is Guy Fawkes Day. Remember the 5th of November, and also for those who've seen V for Vendetta, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And today I will be giving my review on After the Hunt, which luckily I can say does have something to do with the number 5 because the film focuses or mainly has 5 characters that we focus on in the film. Not saying that there aren't other characters in the film, but there are 5 that we really can say are starring in this film. So just my luck today that I was able to do it. So we'll be getting into it soon, but just to let y'all know, I won't be wearing this outfit in that video. It just will be this is mainly for the 5th of November pretty much, but what I'll be wearing is the outfit that I was filming in while filming it. So let's not waste any more time and get started, shall we? Hey lovelies, it's Victoria, and yes, I'm doing this the same day as the 5th of November, so here we are, and I'm here to do my spoiler review on After the Hunt. Starring Julia Roberts, Aya Edeberry, Andrew Garfield, Michael Stuhlbarg, and Chloe Sevigny, and directed by Luca Guadagnino. And I apologize, I had to change the lighting in here because it's getting dark outside, or it's starting to get darker outside, but not yet. In this film, we follow a philosophy professor at Yale named Alma, played by Julia Roberts, who is caught in the middle of a SA accusation, and yes, I said SA, accusation involving her philosophy student Maggie, played by Aya Edeberry, and a close colleague of hers, Hank, played by Andrew Garfield. In my reaction video, I honestly had no idea what I was going to say about this film, but after some time to sit with it and really think about what Luca Guadagnino was trying to say with this film, I think I got a better understanding of this film, with still some questions possibly. Okay, let's start with my thoughts on the story. So, the story is very much a psychological thriller when I really think about it, in its own right too, that involves the realm of philosophy. And that is where I really started realizing probably where Guadagnino was going with this. Because this is the area that he is exploring this genre in, is in the world of philosophy. And because of this, it would be easy to write it off as a pretentious film. But I honestly did find something in this story that stood out to me, that was interesting to some degree, even though as far as like it as a whole would not seem entirely, engaging, but it depends on what one can get out of it while watching it. Now, I can admit that my opinion might be biased because I always kind of had a love for philosophy. I took philosophy courses back in college, so I enjoy seeing philosophical perspectives and theories be put into films and explored, especially when it's done well. This film, to a degree, is a philosophical journey for the 3 main characters of the film, Alma, Maggie, and Hank. They all start off with their own views and thoughts of the world and life, especially philosophically. But then those views seem to get contradicted by them, which us as humans that we are tend to do that. To put it in plain English, these characters have different types of truths about themselves in this film. Some that they full on acknowledge, while others not entirely. And this all comes to a head for them as the story progresses. To better explain my point, I'm going to talk about these characters a little bit, if which I will, like I said, this is a spoiler review, so you have been warned. So we'll start with Alma, played by Julia Roberts, is a philosophy professor caught in between the situation who is seeking tenure without the university or philosophy department knowing about some bouts of physical pain she's dealing with, which they really don't make it obvious precisely what it is. You somewhat find out pretty much later in the film, like near the end of the film, you find out what she's been dealing with, which is pretty much ulcers. And she has a deep, dark secret from her past as a child she doesn't want anyone to know about, not even her husband. And she is a person who very much cares about her reputation more than her personal well-being. She cares about how she is perceived, and she displays, but at the same time she displays open affection for her colleague Hank, played by Andrew Garfield, even in front of her own husband. And then we have Maggie, who is played by Aya Edeberry, who is a young queer African American woman who is the daughter of one of the school's wealthiest donors, and she chooses to live somewhat of a more modest life. Like, she lives in a cheap apartment with her partner in the film, and she is a philosophy PhD student who just finished her dissertation that she in truth plagiarized just to help her move forward with her career endeavors, that she doesn't know if that's even what she really wants to do in the grand scheme of things. And she admires Alma as a professor, but not really for the academic that she is, but more so for the level of prestige that she has, her personality and characteristics, so much so that she pretty much adapts those physical characteristics of Alma to herself by the way she does her hair, the way that she dresses, the way that she talks. And she also, this part you may get sort of confused on here and there, because it either seems like she likes Alma more than just as a professor, but that she likes her, like she's attracted to her, or it could be more so for the possibility that she probably wishes she could be her. But whichever way that goes, she has something for her. Then we have Hank, played by Andrew Garfield, who is a young and handsome looking philosophy professor who is also seeking tenure, but who is also very ego driven, very egotistical, and criticizes the generation younger than him for being too sensitive and not being willing to be more daring. And what's interesting is that this whole being daring thing comes back to nip him in the butt later. He claims that he would never disregard the rules of the university, and yet his actions show otherwise. He is willing to, like, for example, he's willing to go inside a female student's apartment, and yes, I'm talking about Maggie, her apartment, which is already a scandalous situation right there, just to prove a suspicion that he has about her. And another one, he is willing to be in an adulterous relationship with his married colleague and could care less that it is known, especially to her husband. Also, he says that he would never SA Maggie, and yet there is a heated and intimate scene between him and Alma at some point in the film that looks like, doesn't just look like he was initiating sex, but that it could possibly, but that he was willing to take it further than what Alma was comfortable with, which I won't say proves otherwise, but could prove otherwise, that he could have done it. Okay, and that's all that I'm going to say on the characters on this one. I just wanted to give like a kind of little like bullet point kind of thing to explain why this film is, what could justify this film being told in the world of philosophy, and why it plays a part in each of those three characters in the film, who are all involved in the philosophy department, which also is an even more reason why. So let's talk about the cast of the film, which I thought was a really awesome cast. We have the talented and divine Julia Roberts, who plays Professor Alma Imhoff. And please don't tell me you do not know who Julia Roberts is. Come on. Pretty Woman, Notting Hill, My Best Friend's Wedding, Erin Brockovich, The Pelican Briefs, Sleeping with the Enemy, Hook, and Still in Magnolias. If you do not know any of those films, then there's plenty of other films you can look in her filmography to find that you possibly know her from. This movie, I thought that Julia gave a fairly pretty good performance as Alma, because as this character, Julia gives a more restrained, composed performance, because this character is containing so much within her that she is trying to keep others from seeing, from noticing. And so she's not all happy and bubbly or anything really like that. She's very concerned about her appearance and how she comes off. And so she really has to go that extra mile of not, not smiling too much or too hard or getting into her emotions, because that's the kind of character that Alma is. For example, when she's in scenes with other characters who are being vulnerable with her, you can instantly tell that she is holding back her emotions when she is trying to sort of feel for the person that is talking with her, and to also somewhat keep herself removed from taking sides and keeping a clear mind on the things that she's being told by characters that are confiding in her. So through this, there are many points in the film where Julia is showing empathy or concern, but it's through a restrained performance, restrained smiles and false emotional looks of caring and connecting. And the moments where she is dealing with her own pains, more like her physical pains, she tries to recompose herself as quick as she can, so nobody really sees her in a weak state. And when she is in too much pain that she cannot bear it, she secludes herself to deal with it, to make sure that nobody is seeing her in this weak state or in distress. I can definitely give Julia her props when she delves into these more dramatic and more complex characters when she plays them, because you get to see sides to her that are more like intense and less kind, less open, and less authentic. And so I actually found her performance to be pretty good. Then we have Andrew Garfield as Professor Hank Gibson, and how could I ever forget him? I mean, for heaven's sakes, the Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, definitely one of my favorite films. And also, well, I will say the first one was truly my favorite, because I know that there was two of them. And also, but that was not the only thing he was in. He was also Eduardo Sabrin in The Social Network. And he was also in films like Silence, Tick Tick Boom, Hacksaw Ridge, and We Live in Time. And to be honest, after seeing him in so many films as the nice protagonist or the tortured but good protagonist, it was a nice change in pace and a bit of a breath of fresh air to see him play a character like this, who is pretty much like a very arrogant and openly disrespectful to others as a character, and that you don't know if you can trust him even a little bit with what he tells you. Andrew's performance as Hank, while that of a man accused of impropriety, was low-key a sinister and conceited person without being too obvious. That's what I got from his acting, was that he, even though he may seem like the type that could possibly care less about trying something, taking risk and whatnot, when it comes down to it, he claims that when it comes to the university and his job, he is not willing to take things that take risk or take chances that could ruin his career or put a stain on his career in any way. And yet there is a element of him that is kind of like, you, when you hear him speak to you, when you hear him talk with Alma, that he's kind of like sort of throws caution to the wind on certain things, while other things not so much. And also just by the way he behaves around Alma in front of her husband. And so it's like he claims that he would not do certain things, but yet there are actions that he does in this film, that Andrew portrays in this film, that would definitely say that you're actually are very willing to do this, even with all this stuff that could be against you, like being accused of SA, which that is his situation, and he feels that he is being treated unfairly and being accused unfairly. And you definitely can tell that he's a young professor who takes advantage of his position and his charm to indulge in, or at least enjoy or entertain, the attention he receives from his students, especially his female students. I honestly enjoyed watching him play this type of role, and I hope that he plays more roles like this later on, because I felt like this was definitely a branching out type of role for him. And I also felt that the chemistry between him and Julia was very palpable. I believe that there was a thing between them, and not just Julia for, or not just Alma for Hank, but also Hank for Alma as well. Then we have Aya Edaberry as Maggie Resnick. Maggie Resnick, hopefully I'm saying the name right. And I'm honestly a big fan of hers since The Bear, Bottoms, Abbott Elementary, and Theater Camp. I mean, she's just a splendid actor with a really good comedic skills, in my opinion. In this film, though, as Maggie, we see more of the her we see more of Aya's dramatic chops as this character, and we see more depth in the that she brings more depth in the areas of, race, gender, and individuality due to the character that she's playing here. Because as Maggie, it is obvious her character is a token minority in this film, and also just in the school in general. And not just token minority, token gay student. And with this, I felt that Aya brings an element of facing off verbally against views involving what she identifies as, and she also brings an element of unpredictability in her actions as Maggie, because there's things that she does that you're kind of like, wait, why is she doing this? What does she think she's going to get out of doing this? And also does well at conveying Maggie's insecurities and uncertainties, and also pulling off a performative personality when in front of people, which results in her coming across as less than authentic as a person, and just possibly even a schemer to an extent as this character. Then we have Michael Stuhlbarg as Alma's husband, Friedrich Mendelssohn, I think that's his last name. And so I can't say that I've followed this guy's career too much, but I do know that he's a very good character actor, and I have seen him in other films. I recall seeing him in Lincoln, Hitchcock, Doctor Strange, both of the Doctor Strange movies, The Shape of Water, Call Me by Your Name, and Bones and All. So from what I've seen of him, he definitely is really good at what he does, and so I'm not surprised on that note, because he definitely has quite of a filmography. And also from what I've seen of him in those films, he can play really good characters or character types. And in this film, he plays a very loving and supportive husband to Alma, even though he is well aware of her indecent behavior and the crap that she puts herself through. So I would say when it comes down to it, Michael is acting on a very fine line of being there for he's acting on a very fine line as this character of being there for your spouse while feeling that that same spouse sees you as either kind of less than or doesn't enjoy spending time with you, which can be a tough thing to deal with. Well, not just for a husband, but for any spouse. That can be a tough thing for a spouse to deal with. And normally when one plays a character like this, there is usually a point where the character gets fed up and may present an ultimatum or just lash out at the spouse or significant other. And really what's interesting is in this film, that point never really comes for his character. He is very much the supportive backbone to Alma, and Michael really displays that support, compassion, and steadfast behavior as this character while still having some of his own insecurities that he is dealing with on his own. Last but not least, we have Chloe Sevigny, who plays Dr. Kim Sayers, Yale's student psychiatrist and a friend of Alma's. And if you don't know who Chloe Sevigny is, well, let me see if any of these movies she was in ring a bell to you. Boys Don't Cry, Dogville, Lovelace, The Wait, Lizzie, The Dead Don't Die, and Bones and All. Oh, how interesting. So she and Michael worked with Guadagnino before, so he must really enjoy working with these actors. Good for them and good for him, because they're really good actors, both of them are. She's not really doing too much in this film, or she's not really as active in this film as the other characters, but she still plays a part, an important part in it, being the student psychiatrist of Yale. And so when Maggie comes to her about her accusations and everything, that's when things really start to kick off. Let's just say that she's a character that you do not want to lie to, or we'll just say you don't want to be on her radar when things go down or things go wrong, because she takes her job very seriously. Not to say that she can't be friendly or approachable, because she is both of those things. She's just not gonna cut corners for anyone, especially in a potential essay accusation from a student. And I felt that Chloe portrayed Kim in this kind, concerned, and sort of underlying investigative way, subtle. I think she plays it very subtle while still showing that her character and Alma do have a friendship with each other, even though she still has a job to do. All right, let's talk about the cinematography of this film, which was done very well by Malik Hassan Sayed. I hope I'm saying his name right, but he did the cinematography for this film, which this was not his first time doing, and it shows. He actually has done cinematography for music videos for artists like Lauryn Hill, D'Angelo, may he rest in peace. Oh, it's so sad. And Beyonce. And he's also been a cinematographer for some of Spike Lee's films as well. So his influence, I'm starting to recognize it a bit more now knowing this stuff, because before I didn't know that he worked on some of the music videos that I actually looked into. Like, he worked on Lauryn Hill's X Factor music video, and I love that music video so much. And also Beyonce's Formation one. And so I'm starting to get that I can see where his cinematography style shows in this film now, because before I was like, I didn't know that he did it, but now I'm starting to see. And also, when I think about it, he was the director of photography for Eyes Wide Shut and Gattaca. Oh my god, this is something, and I didn't really know much about this guy. But then again, I can be honest that I did not know much about cinematography as much as I knew about the performers, the actors, the directors, and now I'm trying to get more into understanding how cinematography works. He shot this film pretty much on a 35mm film, so that also I think shows in this film. And what I found interesting about some of the shots that he does in this film, I just couldn't help but notice that it showed a lot of shots of the characters' hands in different places. And so I know that must mean that hands play a bit of a role in this film, or that they signify something in this film, but I honestly could not figure out exactly what it was that they signified. If you guys know, please tell me in the comment section below, because I would love to know what those shots could potentially mean to piece more stuff together for this film. And who knows, maybe if I watch it again, I'll figure it out. But if you know, please let me know. And the music in the film was done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who definitely I am no stranger to, especially because they did music for films like The Social Network, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, Soul, and Challengers. So I am very well aware of these guys, and they really do produce very interesting and actually very enjoyable music, in my opinion. However, in this film, I didn't feel that Guadagnino really utilized their scoring much in this film, or not in an interesting way that stood out to me. So I really don't have much to say too much on the music for this film. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the ending. So once again, spoiler alert. Like I haven't already said that at the beginning of this video, but either way, so I'm gonna go into the ending a little bit, but I'm not gonna tell you entirely what happens at the end. I'm just gonna explain some things that I actually had questions for, and things that maybe that I did not understand when I first watched it, but then I understood it later after a little time passed. For starters, I found it very interesting that Luca Guadagnino decided to break the fourth wall by yelling "cut" off screen as the film, which basically ends the film. It was interesting to me because I had a hard time figuring out what that meant, or why he chose to do that. So like I said, that's one thing at the end that I had questions for. If you guys know why he yelled "cut" off screen like that, please put it in the comment section down below, because it would be helpful, because I would love to just understand what he was trying to say near the end with that. But before that happens, what ends up happening at the end is sometime later, after the events that take place in the majority part of the film, Alma and Maggie, they meet up with each other. Now Alma is a dean, and Maggie is now engaged, but not to the partner that she had majority of the film. It's to someone else. But the one thing that I found interesting, that I at first sort of questioned why Maggie said what she said to Alma, or why she asked Alma this, I started to probably get a better understanding of it later, when this part where she asked Alma before leaving the place they met at, she asked her, "After everything, are you really happy?" And at first and Alma answers, "Yes, I am." And then Maggie said, "Then you win." And I was like, what does that, what did that mean? But then I was like, oh, okay, maybe this has something to do with, so it's almost kind of like as if Maggie is asking Alma, because it wasn't like Alma was a big help to Maggie during her SA assault accusations against Hank. And so what that question probably now means to me is like, after the hunt, which, like the title of the film, after the hunt and after the fallout of everything and post hunt, and also after getting what she wanted academically, of course, is she really happy? Is she really satisfied? Was it worth it? And Alma answers yes. And so then there was nothing more for Maggie to say than that she won, if that's truly how she felt, because I feel like Maggie somewhat doubts that she really is happy, that she's just saying it. And with all that being said, there's nothing more for Maggie to say to her, so she leaves. And once she and Alma leave the scene after Alma pays for, I don't know if it was the actual payment or tip, because they were at a restaurant or coffee shop, something like that, a place where they could get drinks at. And once they leave the scene, the camera zooms in on the cash that was left on the table, and then you hear Luca Guadagnino yell "cut" off screen, and then the movie ends. And so it's kind of like, I just would like to know what that cut meant. That would be very nice. But I feel like I got a better understanding of the interaction at the end between Alma and Maggie, which was, thinking about it now, was actually a nice touch. With all that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, I now give this movie a better than I thought score, which would be 6.9. Now, with more context clues and looking through some of the interviews that the actors and director made and revisiting what happened in the film, I sort of understand the film a little bit better. I will be honest by saying that this film is not for everyone. It's definitely not a film where you will witness the SA event happen, because that's not what the film is about. And it's not taking sides for any of the characters either. Now, if you like philosophy and experiencing different sides of the truth and how it can be twisted and evolve over time, then you probably might like this movie. Probably. But it depends on the person. Either way, that is just my review. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and if you've seen the film and have thoughts on it, please let me know them down in the comment section below. That would be great to get a conversation started or figure out some answers to questions that people had about this one. Anything, just let me know. Either way, I will see you guys in my next video. I am definitely going to do a review on Wicked for Good, which is coming out soon this month, and I am planning to do something very special for it, so you guys be on the lookout for that. And also I am planning to see Predator Badlands, Hamnet, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and we'll see where that takes us. Until then, I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you for joining me on this lovely 5th of November. Well, that's all for our 5th of November segment for today. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye, lovelies.